What's up, guys? Welcome to the Lando Ces Show. I'm Lando.
I'm Ces. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Good to have you. We're on Zoom today. And today we thought we'd go over the ESPN's ranked top 75 NBA players of all time. The NBA released obviously theirs not too long ago, but they weren't ranked. There was a lot of controversy and a lot of people thought certain players should be on the list, certain players shouldn't be on the list, and those guys weren't even ranked. The NBA didn't even rank them. ESPN did us the honor of ranking them during All-Star Weekend, and there's some polarizing takes. I have seen the list. I have studied the list pretty extensively, and Caesar has not.
I don't have to.
He's aware of the players, right? You're aware, obviously, of the players that are in the
Yes.
75 all-time team, but not how ESPN ranked them. So that's exactly what we're going to go over here. I'm going to
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna make the assumption Kobe's not in that list on the top five at least. I'm gonna just make that assumption.
You'd be right. So,
Yeah, yeah. But there goes my respect for this list altogether.
well,
So Landon, this was fun. Well, I guess we ended here then, huh? 'Cause I'm already fucking through with it.
this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video with you, is because in my personal opinion, Kobe is way too low on the list.
Oh no. Mm. Okay. Well, let's get to it, man, because
So
I'm ready.
we're here on the ESPN website. This is their list. Obviously, you can see that. Um, so yeah, there's 76 players. There was a tie with the voting somewhere in there. They didn't announce who.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be really cool for them to announce though, to see
it,
who they have
it
it.
would be, yeah. I mean, these were voted. I believe it says up here. These were voted. Uh, Not that one.
Panel voted on thousands of head-to-head player matchups, taking into consideration the quality and quantity of their NBA contributions. So this to me and there just in general, yeah, I guess I mean Lillard should probably be 76 if you ask me, just because he has absolutely no accolades other than going to a
Well, yeah, here
one.
you go. I mean, number 75, Lillard's a great player, but you could argue he's not 75 all time. I mean, there's a few guys that aren't on this list that.
Well, even if we go back up and we see Bill Sherman right there, he's one of those players I probably would put in there along with Lillard as not part of the top 75. And
Right.
we were just talking about that, like you were just going to say right now, Landon.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're, you can tell we're of the younger generation. We're not going to remember Bill
No,
Sharman, who played for the 50-51 Washington Capitals. However, we're well aware of Damian Lillard, and we're well aware of his ability, but he hasn't been able to.
contribute anything
Yeah, he
really.
hasn't been able to prove it necessarily. He's clutch, and
Yeah,
that's what they say down here in this. Each player got their own little write up from different sports writers, and that's really what they hit home on is he's clutch, and he has a
yeah,
long shooting range.
yeah.
Um,
And the fact that unfortunately for him, he's part of that Portland Trailblazers organization, and even when he's had chances to be successful, the only person stopping him from going to the finals was you know, a Warriors team led by Steph Curry. So he's
yeah,
had to see him a couple times in the playoffs, which has definitely hit a, hit his legacy reputation, I guess.
yeah, and
Although we know he's a great player.
we know he's a great player, and it brings up kind of already an altercation on how are you ranking these guys, because there's one player that came to my mind that's not on this list that I think should be, and you'll see why in a minute. There's plenty of players that could be on this list that aren't,
Yeah.
but
And
one that really stood out to me was Tony Parker.
yeah, and I would have to agree with you.
Now, one of the main reasons why, and you'll see, is they have Tim Duncan, which very well he should be. They have him ranked very high in the top 10. and you rank Tim Duncan in the top 10 and Tony Parker's not even on the list.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure that adds up. Obviously, Damian Lillard is a better athlete than Tony Parker, right? I mean, he probably has more core basketball ability, but if you're talking about, that's where it comes into like, it's hard to rank these players, and you almost can't, because you got players that really contributed so much to their teams and won championships and changed the city, changed the team forever.
Yeah.
And had winning things. But then you have a guy like Damian Lillard, who's just a athlete, right? He's a freak of nature. He's amazing, but he hasn't done anything in the league that says he's a top 75 player other than just skill,
And that's where I agree with you, Landon, that Tony Parker probably should be on this list, considering the fact that he played behind Tim Duncan. Right. And if he's in the top 10 of the rankings, which I assume he is, there's just no way you can, like, it's like almost saying, like, there's no Kevin McHale on this list and Larry Bird's in the top 10.
Right.
Like, Kevin McHale is on this list for a good and validated reason. He was part of a great dynasty with the Boston Celtics. And considering that maybe David Robinson is on the list with the top 75, I just think success-wise as a team and contributing to that dynasty that was San Antonio, I would argue that Tony Parker had more of an impact than David Robinson. Although, David Robinson came before him.
And then you also got Manu Ginobili on that team, which skill-wise, he's probably not 75 of all time, but was he the best? He started, and he was also one of the best six men in the NBA for his whole career.
Well, I would say skill-wise, I think Manu Ginobili had enough to be on the top 75 list. I just think, he sacrificed a lot playing in San Antonio by being the sixth man there all the time. I don't think he necessarily started ever like
he was more of a sixth man.
He's definitely the defining image of what it means to start versus finish a game, because he might have not started, but he definitely finished most of San Antonio's first games, and he's definitely a vital contributor.
And just for people that are watching right now, we're not Spurs fans by any means of the word, but this is just one example of something that I thought of when I was looking at this list. Now, here at number 71, we have Anthony Davis. Obviously, Anthony Davis' skill is there.
Talent is all there.
They even say in this write-up, it's all about him staying healthy. And of course, we just saw 2 weeks ago, he hurt himself once again.
And it was a really bad ankle injury, Landon. Like that one was really hard to watch. And on top of that, he had to be helped out.
There's a lot of arguments, that, maybe Anthony Davis might be on this list later on, but should he have been already? There's questions about that. And I don't know. I mean, it's good that he's that high up, though. I don't think he should be much ranked, much lower than that or higher up than that.
Well, I would have to argue that once again, where are the younger generation? I don't know who the heck this guy is, Dolph Ces, but I promise you, in a one-on-one game, Anthony is definitely tossing him and doing whatever he wants with him. So
that's what's hard too. Is look, you're here in 1948 is when he started playing. So it's so tough to rank these guys because obviously
they're from different eras,
The game has
so
evolved
hard to put them.
So much,
Yeah, that's the one thing I have an issue with, is that they put all these guys in rankings, but they all come from different eras, and it's really hard to determine who's the better player than who. Because I think, me personally, I'm taking Anthony Davis over that Shays or whatever that guy's name was. I'm so sorry, I'm blendering a legend's name, but I'm just saying, man, AD is a lot more talented than that guy was.
Yeah, and so scrolling down, like we said, we're gonna focus maybe a little bit more on not only the current players. Obviously, we are familiar with 80s, 90s basketball, things like that, and we'll get there. But 48 is out of our expertise. But here you go, 69 and 68. You got Russell Westbrook at 68, Carmelo Anthony at 69.
Two current Lakers right now.
Two current
Thinking up a
Lakers.
joint.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Lakers on this list. There's been a lot of legacy.
No shock there.
But yeah, I mean, Carmelo Anthony, obviously no rings. He's bounced around a lot, and he's number 9 on the all-time points list, as it says right here, and that speaks for itself. If you're top 10 all-time points, you've done something right, even without a ring. So
yeah. I think these two undoubtedly deserve to be here. They both contributed a lot, and you just have to have them in there. There's no way.
And here at 67, you got Dallas Maverick Dennis Rodman, and definitely.
I don't think anyone remembers that. Just like I don't even remember him being on the Lakers in '99.
99 Lakers and 2000 Mavericks. Yeah. He well deserves to be on this list. Just the fact that he was a vital part of that Bulls team.
And then on top of that, I know you're really young, Landon, but he was also part of that 2-time champion winning Bad Boys teams in Detroit.
Pistons, yeah.
And he was super vital for them. And he was just that young guy that was coming up. And, he proved himself even more in Chicago. He switched
it up, though, man. And he left the Pistons for the Bulls, which they were rivals, bro. That was a big deal.
That was a big deal. But you know what? He was successful for it.
Obviously, Rodman is a just, they say it in this list, an enigma. That's a great word for Dennis Rodman. He was just a polarizing guy, and obviously a great rebounder. Here he is at 13 rebounds a game, his average for his whole career. Great rebounder. I remember that one stat line, like 25 minutes or something, and it's like 30 rebounds and no point, no assists, nothing, just rebounds.
I mean, that guy definitely loved playing defense. He got a rise out of it, a high for sure. That was his thing, and he did it. He did it probably the best. And I'm really surprised. This guy is not Lenny Wilkins, but Paul Arzine. I definitely need to read up on him to see what he was about, because I'm shocked that he's above Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook, even Dennis Rodman, considering their stats in a league where talent just keeps on rising.
That's what you'll see here. I mean, and as we scroll, you have to remember that the further we scroll down, these guys are ranked way higher than people we've talked about a couple minutes ago, So
see, like even this man right here, Hal Greer.
Yeah.
I've never seen him play, but I don't think I could take him over the likes of Dwight Howard, Pau Gasol, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, even Klay Thompson.
He played alongside Wilt Chamberlain, and first player to have his number retired as a 76er, and franchise leader in games played, minutes, and points. So that's why he's on the list. And any old timers watching that is a huge Hal Greer fan. I'm sorry. Robert Parrish, obviously we know that name. And Parrish was a great player, 21 season career, man. That's
great center especially for those Celtics teams.
Here you go, 62. You have Paul Pierce.
I think he might be a little bit higher, a little bit too high. I think he won one chip in that Celtics year in 2008, and I definitely feel like that definitely put him at as high as this at 62.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Definitely, Paul Pierce is a great all-time player. I just don't think he deserves to be up there with, or at least higher than Melo and Westbrook, because I believe their peaks were 10 times higher than his was.
Yeah.
He was lucky and fortunate to play with like KG and Allen and get a chip after that. Even Rondo coming up.
You are a Laker fan, though, so we will preface you saying that by that. So
hey, man, he faked the injury. If he had to take a shit, that's all he should have said. That's all I'm saying.
So here we got Nate Archibald, Elvin Hayes, Willis.
You don't got an argument for me from all these guys here.
Yeah, big names. James Worthy, pretty low, honestly, 56.
I mean, just like you said with Hal Greer, he was playing under the likes of
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson.
Right.
So him being ranked here is probably because of that.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, he was the 88 NBA final MVP. He was known for stepping up in big games, big game James, and good player. And he's at 56. I mean, that's not to be the 56th best player in the NBA on the ESPN's list is no small task at all. But you could probably argue he could be a little bit higher than
You could,
56.
especially considering he did win a Finals MVP against the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons.
Right. Pete Maravich at 54.
Now, see, right there, I might have to disagree. I know his accolades don't speak for itself, but the way he revolutionized dribbling before anyone did.
Yeah.
And like he did it before it was cool. And it's crazy if you look back at his highlights and his reels, he's doing a lot of these things that all these current players know how to do. He
Right.
has the razzle dazzle, like what's his name? The guy Walt Frazier would say, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I just feel like he should be a little bit higher because he revolutioned the way people handled the ball.
Yeah, he definitely could be for sure. And
Was way ahead of his time.
yeah, and this is an interesting little tidbit right here. We're also left to wonder what if Maravich had played his full career with the 3-point line. I mean, you're talking about a lot of these guys didn't even have a 3-point line.
Yeah,
And
and
Maravich
and
had the range, and didn't
mm-hmm.
even earn 3 points for a lot of his shots that would have, if the
and
line was there his whole
I
career.
and I also believe I know it has nothing to do with the NBA, but he probably still has the record for most points per game in a season in the NCAA Division One at least, and that was like 40 plus points. And
Really? Okay.
considering the fact that there was no 3-point line, imagine if he did have one. He'd
Yeah,
probably
man.
be dropping 60
That's
balls on
crazy.
people.
So here we go. Clyde the Glide.
George Gervin, you gotta go with that one.
Reggie Miller's at 51. And I mean, that's just because he revolutionized the way the 3-point shot was.
Now, I guess you got to put James Harden over Reggie, but I mean, Reggie took a team to a finals, man. James
Yeah.
Harden has yet to prove that. I mean, he did go to the finals one year with Oklahoma, but he was behind Kevin Durant and Westbrook, and he didn't do much in that series either. So it's really
Yeah, I
hard
mean,
for me to
that was
want to put
before
Harden there.
Harden. That was before Harden had really became James Harden. When he was.
Yeah, but the talent was there, and
Yeah.
and the way he played that series was just like, even at that age or at that time, it was just unexcusable. He just looked like a shell of himself, and it looked like that moment like really like caught him off guard.
I did read both of these. Like I say, I liked reading all of these little information sheets under each player, and I thought both of these were interesting, and I wanted to touch on it. Um, Obviously, he played his whole career for the Indiana Pacers, the Reggie Miller, which is a great feat. And this is kind of an interesting little thing. He's one of the last players of his era who didn't start ring chasing at the end of his career. Now, I don't know if Nick Friedel has a little bit of, angst towards maybe his favorite players leaving his team or something like that. I don't know. It does sound a little passive aggressive the way he wrote it.
Yeah,
But
he was definitely directing it at someone. I don't know who he's
it
upset
seems
at.
like it seems that way, but it's also true. I mean, that you see that happen frequently with a lot of players that don't have a ring. James Harden.
But he's talking about at the end of his career, like
Right.
Reggie Miller at the end of his career was still a very good player. He almost took the Pacers again to the finals, but was met against the 2004 Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
So it's not like, Reggie Miller was struggling or trying to figure his way out into a new scenario because it wasn't working for the team. A lot of circumstances that come to like those players that leave in the end. Like with Boston and Ray Allen, he probably one of those shots that he was throwing it at went to Miami. Why? Because in Boston, he didn't feel like he was going to get paid well enough, considering what he had done that year and how well he had been playing with them, and the situation with Rondo and a lot of yada yada yada. But that's just a fun shot to throw at this new generation and just the way players nowadays just team up. It is part of the league now. Just get over it. It gets to me sometimes, but dude, stop.
It's definitely part of the league, and also part of the league is James Harden and the way that he changed the NBA for better or for worse. Um, and this write-up says it all. He might be the most polarizing player of this generation. His partnerships have produced several unpleasant breakups, no championships. His style of play generates a lot of groans and criticisms, especially due to the way that he draws his fouls. And it says here he changed the game with his step back three. The NBA changed the rules due to his foul drawing tactics. I mean, he was kind of the one that started doing a lot of that.
Well, I guess for the greater good, his game changes the way they
He
a big
changed
day
the
ruling
game.
in the best way.
Yeah, he changed how the game is played, whether you like it or not. And obviously his skills there, his shot is there.
Yeah, and
And he made it
people
to the
need to
top
not look.
50 of all time. He's number 50. So
Yeah, and people need to remember, like he, irregardless of the tactics to get to the foul line and whatnot, he's still one of the greatest scorers to ever live, and definitely revolutionized like using the Euro step consistently. I know Manu was the creator of it, but I think James Harden made that more popular than Manu did.
yeah,
And, he's changed the way people play the game of basketball with the step back, with the Euro step, the crossovers,
yeah, he's changed the
um,
way you look at the game. Really, I mean,
even with the fouling and the way the game was being played. A lot of players, it wasn't just him that was enabling refs to call fouls. There's also guys like Steph Curry, and even if well, yeah, Steph Curry and guys like Derek Fisher who throw their leg out. There was a lot of players that do that. That's what great players do. They find ways to enable refs to get calls that are going their way. And I'm just glad that they did something about it, because the way James Harden did it was blatantly obvious. And now has made it a little bit harder to score now.
mhm. Here at 47, we have the previous best shooter of all time before Steph Curry, in my opinion, Ray Allen.
I'll give you a hot one right here, Landon. I think although the stat might not say it, but I think Klay Thompson is a better shooter than Ray Allen is. I'll take Klay Thompson any day.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, yeah,
Although Ray Allen has the clutchest three of all time, so
yes, that's yeah, I know
like
exactly what
that
you're
three
talking
is crazy.
about.
Bob
So yeah,
McAdoo, man.
just scrolling, yeah, 45 Bob McAdoo, 44 you got Bill Walton.
Oh my
Gosh,
God,
that's a
look at that
scary
guy. He looks
photo.
like a real life Sasquatch.
He does. 43, one of my favorite guards to play the game, Jason Kidd. I am a huge Dallas Mavericks fan. Um, I know that he has played for other teams. And
You know what's my highlight of his basketball career was him off the court when he was in a cameo of Like Mike. That was really cool.
yeah, he's
He had
awesome.
a line in it too.
He's dope, dude. Jason Kidd's awesome, and 43, that's well deserved, man. I mean, he's a great guard, and he was a great passer.
And obviously, I don't think he's reached that kind of stardom yet. I I really feel the comparison that Lonzo has to him is very comparable, considering the fact if you look at Jason Kidd's stat line throughout his career, I think he averages more points than Lonzo, and assists, but it's eerily similar. And the way they play it, it's not like they do anything rather great, other than maybe their playmaking and passing abilities,
Mhm.
but they do everything well. And I think that's what Lonzo is definitely like. I'm not saying we're going to see Lonzo in the top 100, but I
Yeah,
definitely think that kid is a poor man's version of Jason Kidd. And I don't know why I brought up Lonzo, but Jason Kidd is definitely
I,
a
I'll be honest. I'm not necessarily a Lonzo Ball fan at all. I'll see what happens with him, but
I
I'm not
mean,
a fan.
I feel like if you see what's happened in Chicago, he's definitely been a big part of their defensive efforts in this season,
Yeah.
along with Caruso.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Jason Kidd was a amazing passer, an amazing defender, and most of all, just a great floor general, really. And he was the floor general that Dirk Nowitzki needed in order to push that team over the edge to finally win a championship. Um, and that's exactly what happened. it didn't click with Steve Nash and Nowitzki as well as they thought it would, and Kidd was the answer.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I think Mark Cuban made a stupid decision and said, "Yeah, I don't want to resign Steve Nash and let him go walk away for nothing."
Yeah, that's a whole another thing. We got the
And then I
glove
mean,
at
we can talk about
42.
the multiple decisions that are stupid by Mark Cuban and his management.
There's been a
Let's
good
talk about
amount.
Kristaps Porzingis, or maybe we'll save that for later.
There's been a good amount. Yeah, he's not. Maybe we'll talk about Porzingis when we get to the end here, if that's one of the picks. But at the end, we
I
are going
doubt
to talk
that.
about who's going to make the NBA 100 team in 25 years, and that's totally up to our opinion. Anyway, moving on. We're talking about these guys right now. 42, you got the glove, great player, Gary Payton, Walt Frazier at 41, Patrick Ewing at 40.
That frozen envelope.
Ewing could probably be higher than 40. Kevin McHale, you were talking
Maybe.
about him earlier at 39.
Yeah. And see, that's where I think this list contradicts itself with the people that it puts in, because of the fact that Kevin McHale is ranked as high as 39. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming only Larry Bird is going to be down maybe 20, 15 spots behind him or ahead of him. And
Right.
just like having only two San Antonio Spurs in this list is just, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah. So
And we got Steve Nash here on 37.
37, you got Nash, great, amazing guard. I'm a huge Steve Nash fan. He was great and fun to
Yeah,
watch, man.
he
He was so
he was
fun to watch.
definitely fun to watch. I just wish he shot the ball more, because his jumper was just so, like, it was just so perfect. Like,
Yeah.
it would never touch rim. Like every time the guy threw the ball up, I just assumed it'd go in, because he was
Yeah.
just that efficient of a scorer.
And
But
there you go.
that wasn't his game.
42.8% 3-point shooter in his whole career.
Yeah, and like even
He had a
watching
long
him on the
career.
free throw line, I don't remember or recount him missing free throws like that.
Yeah.
I bet there's like only a 5-minute compilation of how many free throws he's missed. That's
Probably.
how many free throws he's missed.
Just right above Steve Nash, you got Dominique Wilkins. For people of like my generation, I know Dominique Wilkins most from like the dunk contest.
Yeah.
So the dunk contest with Michael Jordan, where he'd face off with Jordan every year almost. And I know the impact Wilkins has had on the game, but as it says here, it doesn't get more elite than Wilkins' dunking skills. The human highlight film, one of the best dunkers of all time. I mean, there's been great dunkers, and he's at 36 kind of because of that. And I mean, he also obviously averaged just under 25 points a game his whole career, which is a big deal. So moving on, 35, Bob Pettit, Bob Cousy, got a couple Bobs right there. 33, Kawhi Leonard. He's got
I
the
think
skill.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
That's fair. He's probably got the skill to be at 33.
And you know what? Even if we like considering like moving forward into next year, I think the Clippers have a heavy favorite chance to win it all, just because they'll get back Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and on top of that, they collected guards in Rocco Covington and Norman Powell, so they're going to be someone to looking forward to. And maybe in a couple of years when we look back at this list, we're going to be like, why is he ranked so damn not higher than this?
Yeah,
and only at 33.
Yeah,
so
that's
this is
something that
definitely deserving.
That's something that we'll look forward to. I mean, moving forward, if Kawhi definitely wins another championship or another MVP or something like that, then you could probably see him jump over Scottie Pippen, who's here at 32. Pippen,
I think Pippen needs to be higher though. I think it's true. You can't ignore his consistency as a player, and being the guy that was right behind Michael Jordan to win all these championships. Like we don't have like Kareem and Magic, Shaq and Kobe. Who else? I'm blanking out right now, but like point is, you have these duos within the top 10. Like, how's this guy not there? he was
Yeah.
part of that legacy that Jordan built.
Yeah, he
Like
was.
if this guy was not there, this doesn't happen. So like I just think it's very disrespectful that he's as low as 32. I think
Yeah.
I
He
think
could
it's
definitely be higher.
and
And the thing is, he's
he's had success without Michael Jordan. He was part of that team that although they kind of lost that 17-point lead in that game against the 2000 Lakers, which was Shaq and Kobe.
mhm.
They were only a quarter away from going to the finals again, and Scottie Pippen was part of that team. So it's like his success should should be a more of a factor here, and he shouldn't be this low. I just feel baffled that Scottie Pippen doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
It's tough when you play in someone's shadow who's regarded as the greatest player of all time. And I mean, um, that's what it was. So yeah, 38, 31. Allen Iverson obviously revolutionized the game of basketball and you know, didn't have a bunch of rings or anything like that, but just changed the way that basketball is played and the way that people looked at
Yeah,
it.
the way and again, this goes to my point with Pete Maravich. He made it look cool before it was cool,
Yeah.
and you know Allen Iverson changed the entire culture of basketball and the way people perceived and and just portrayed basketball in the way it is now. I just think Allen Iverson definitely. I don't think he should be this high on the list considering what Scottie Pippen did. I mean, like, are we
Yeah.
really arguing Allen Iverson is a better player than Scottie Pippen? Is this an argument? I don't think this is, or it should be at all.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about what how how uh how Allen Iverson revolutionized the game, you can just simply look at the way players dress today and the way people handle the ball today too. He's one of those godfathers to the way people handle the ball.
Yep. So here we are now in the top 30. We'll probably speed up a little bit just to get to like the last kind of 20 and really focus in on that. Dwayne Wade, number 30. And they say it right here, man, the greatest player in Heat history. I'm
Yep.
with it on that. He's the greatest Miami Heat of all time. And he beat my Mavericks. He
Oh,
beat
you.
my Mavericks.
Oh, yeah.
He beat my Mavericks in
Yes.
was
In
that 06 or
2006.
08? 6, right?
2006.
Yep.
I remember it because I hated it because Shaq won.
Yep. So he beat my Mavs in 06. We did get him back in 11, but yeah. You got Chris Paul at 29.
A little
Pretty high
high.
up. Pretty high up.
I think a little high, but I think it's fair nonetheless because if he wins a ring this year, I mean he's still got another shot at a ring.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean
got
he
to
can
win a
come out the
ring,
West.
man. But I mean, look at this. I don't think I read this or knew this. He's the first player in NBA history to reach 20,000 points and 10,000 assists. He's also fifth all time in steals and could pass Michael Jordan for third place, who's just, what is that? Not even 100 steals higher than him.
Okay, I'm gonna just shut my mouth and just backtrack what I said because
Yeah, so
if he wins a ring, he's an all-time GOAT. And we're arguing that if Stockton is as good as him because he's right now in his 17th season, which is saying a lot, and they have a chance of contending this year. Like they can
really
come
do,
out
yeah.
again.
They really do.
Come out
I hope
again.
I hope he can heal up okay. As
Yes.
we're filming this video, he recently just got injured and he'll be out.
Luckily Landon is just his hand, and it's nothing like lower extremity wise. Because if it was his knee or like a hamstring, then the Suns have real trouble.
Yeah,
he'll be all right.
27, Isaiah Thomas.
No argument for me.
And now here we are, top 25, 26. You're going to see the greats, right? Here's David Robinson at 25.
See, this is where I argue that, Parker needs to be in this list. Not arguing David's placement in this all-time list, but
yeah, but it just the presence of somebody on the list, especially so high, also.
And if we're talking about accomplishments, like Tony Parker has accomplished as much as a Spur as David Robinson did as a Spur. And they're both Hall of Famers.
You mentioned John Stockton earlier. Here he is at 24, one of the best guards to play, obviously.
All-time
23.
assist leader.
Yep. 23, Karl Malone, the mailman himself. 22, Charles Barkley.
How do you feel about him being there, though? Do you think he was a better player in the 90s than Scottie Pippen was? Like, I keep on harping on Scottie, but I'm just saying, like, I
Yeah,
don't even think
what
he
was
was the
Scotty
best
at?
forward
30?
in the.
What was he, 31 or something like that? 30? Yeah, I don't. My personal list, I would probably say Scotty's a better player than, I don't know. Barkley was such a big part of that Suns team, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you're right. He did take him to the finals,
Yeah,
losing to that Bulls team.
right.
But who's to say that Scottie Pippen didn't have that same factor? Like I said, even when Jordan retired, he had a successful season with the Chicago Bulls. They didn't have a losing season with Scottie Pippen there.
Right. 21, you got Kevin Garnett. I was a huge Kevin Garnett fan.
Me too. I loved Kevin Garnett until he was a Celtic.
I loved him as a Timberwolf. I loved him as a Celtic. I thought he was just a great guy, and helped modernize the way big men play the game, is what it says here, and I completely agree with that. I loved watching him hit his head on the basketball hoop before every game. That was fun as a kid.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wish, like, there was always those rumors about Kobe and him being paired up, but which is really weird that the NBA didn't step in, because this is almost like a basketball reason as to stop a trade. Kevin McHale got fucking KG in a fucking Celtic uniform for scraps, for fucking scraps. You look back at that trade and you see what they got for Kevin Garnett. And their GM was Kevin McHale.
Yeah.
And I just feel like Kevin Garnett should have been a Laker at one point. We had a package for him that was way better than what the Celtics could offer.
And then then you saw what Kevin Garnett did with the Celtics and their big three, and really
and credit to
push the
KG.
Celtics forward.
Yeah,
And the Celtics became an even better franchise,
and you know what's funny?
than what they were.
Yeah, and it was one of the biggest turnarounds in NBA history. That team was absolutely garbage before Kevin Garnett got there. And as immediately as KG got there, they had the best record in the league, kept it all season, and went on to win the NBA Finals that year.
Yep.
And and I had no doubt in my mind they were going to win that year. They were just so locked in and focused, and struck fear into every team they played. So it was just a crazy season. I just couldn't they were just so dominant and intense, and that's because of Kevin Garnett. And
that was a fun little stretch of time when the Celtics and Lakers were really duking it out back and forth.
And it makes you think what
era, because the Celtics and Lakers, they've been, it's probably the greatest rivalry in all of sports. And it just goes back each generation of players. They just keep feuding. Celtics, Lakers, man.
Yeah.
They just have greats. And Garnett added to that, man. And he was great, I think.
Yeah, imagine seeing Kobe and him in the finals against each other in Celtic and Laker uniforms, if they both had like actual teams that were good in their peak.
Moving down to the top 20, a Laker, Elgin Baylor, and
no doubt.
Yeah, and another Laker that you're going to start seeing a lot of Lakers here in the top 20, and I know you're going to smile about that. Jerry West is the logo, and he's at 19. 18, you have Giannis.
Wow, that is really high. But Landon, I won't lie to you. I think the way his career is projecting, though, he is going to be an all-time great. He's going to definitely have his foot in the top 15. And especially if this year he comes back and repeats, we're going to have to argue getting into top 10 category.
If he's
only 27, man.
Yeah, if he repeats, it's going to be a big deal.
Because the thing is, though, and that's the thing, is that, like, the East this year, man, like, damn, like, you got the Sixers, where a potential top 100 player is going to be in Embiid. You got the Brooklyn Nets if they come back healthy with KD. The Bulls, Who else? The Heat. We haven't even discussed the Heat. My dark horse, who's in first place right now. We
Yeah.
in like the Celtics. They're still really good too. They've been on a roll lately too. So it's just a really deep um East Coast this year. And whereas the West, we have like maybe two or three player or teams that we can see going to the finals.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how things have changed in the East versus the West matchups in the playoffs.
Right above Giannis.
See, I can't agree with this list right here.
Well,
I
here,
don't
I
think
mean,
Dirk Nowitzki's a better player than Giannis. I think he's already established himself at 27 and has a career that took
I'll agree with
15
you.
years to have.
I'll agree with you looking forward. I think Giannis will be the better player than Dirk.
I
But
think he is now.
Dirk
I think he is
has
now.
Dirk has the legacy and that Giannis doesn't have yet.
Yes,
But
he
Giannis
does,
will be
though.
a better player.
No, but he does have the legacy he has.
Not the way that Dirk changed the game.
All right, let's look at their stats though. Look at their stats.
Very similar points. He averages 1 point more per game.
Do you understand though that Giannis as a rookie was not getting minutes, just like Dirk Nowitzki did not get minutes.
I know
but I'm just saying, Landon, they're very similar at this
very
stage.
Similar, and Giannis.
But the thing is, his resume is already higher than Dirk Nowitzki's because he has a championship already. He already has one.
I know. But the Dirk changed the way the fadeaway shot is looked at. Dirk made a shot.
Dirk is the all-time best shooting big man ever.
Correct, and that's why he's so high on this list.
Yes, but Giannis is already.
If anything, we can be happy that there's two foreign players that are so high up on the list.
No, we're gonna have this argument because the thing is, Giannis has already done something as transcending as he has at the age of 27. I don't like making this argument, and because the NBA is what it is, but players nowadays they travel around, they link up, and they become teammates, and they try and find ways to win together. But things aren't necessarily built these days, or committed to this day. Giannis stayed, and I don't know if you can pull up the video and we can watch it, where he talks about how he could have easily left to find a place to win a championship, and how it was so much better winning this way by himself and trusting himself and trusting what they had.
But Dirk did the same thing with Dallas. He stayed with Dallas.
I know,
21 years.
But at 27, what did Dirk accomplish? He's already done what Dirk's done at the age of 27. I'm just saying that
and I'm not disagreeing with you that Giannis.
I know you know he's going to be eventually better, but I'm just saying he's better now.
I know you're saying that. I'm saying Giannis will be higher than Dirk on this list when we look back on it at the NBA 100 team or whatever.
Oh.
He'll be higher than Dirk. But it's just Dirk changed the game the way that big men shoot. He beat the Heat super team when that started to become a thing, when LeBron made it a trend to start making super teams, and he busted that super team.
Well, see, that's not even a thing too, because the whole super team thing started with Boston in 2008, because Boston got nothing or gave up absolutely nothing to get Kevin Garnett in there. And Kevin Garnett was given up by the general manager, who was Kevin McHale. I mean, they got absolutely nothing from that, Landon. They built
I know. Okay. Team. So sure, it starts with the Celtics, but yes.
No, but there's always been super teams. That the pairing of super teams through free agency started with LeBron.
Right. Moving forward, at 16, you have Steph Curry. Looking at the next list, NBA 100 or whenever, Steph Curry is going to be higher than this. That's my take. He'll be higher than 16. He'll break top 15. I don't know about top 10, but he'll be top 15.
Yeah.
But once you get to here, as you see top 15, it's so hard to start moving these guys around. And And at some point you have to realize, wow, there's players currently playing right now that aren't on this list, or there's players that still are on this list that will get higher, such as Giannis and Steph Curry. And it's hard to move these players around. Like at 15, you have Moses Malone. 14 is Julius Erving. It's really hard once you start realizing that some of these players are going to have to start beating these players out.
Wow. Whoa. 13 Olajuwon. Oh,
13,
wow. That's
Hakeem
tough for
Olajuwon.
I know, but like that's really tough for me to no see. I can't. Oh my God, that's such a hard. You're right. Because
And
I
then you
don't
got
know.
Kevin Durant. He broke
Yeah.
12.
Oh my God.
Obviously, Kevin Durant is just an amazing scorer. And he's that guy. But he's had his own troubles and stuff like that. He was part of
But
the
you see,
he was a part
it's
of the
fun.
73-9
Yeah.
team. That's the greatest record of all time.
No, he was not part of that team. He was not part of that team. He lost to that team.
Oh, yes. He joined afterwards. Sorry, he joined right after that. Yes, that's what I meant to say.
For me, that's a little hard because, you look back at what he did in Oklahoma. He is they're their best player ever. I mean, like narrative wise, Westbrook is their favorite and whatnot, but he is their all time best player. But
yeah,
it was just like it's his thing, it's his personal reasons, but the move to go to Golden State was just so like I don't know, soft and Hakeem like I just don't know. This is really tough. You're right, and they're both great players, all-time players, and
it's
you
only
can
going to get
argue that
tougher.
they deserve to be in the top 10, and that's
It's only
where I
going to
was
get tougher.
flipping out. Yeah,
It's
I'm
only
so
going to get
baffled
tougher.
right now.
It's only going to get tougher, and you're going to only get more
wow.
mad. Because at number 11 we have Shaquille O'Neal. So that means that they don't have Shaq as a top 10 player of all time, which a lot of people are against. A lot of people say Shaq is a top 10 player.
Yeah, he is, man. He is.
Number 11, I think might be a decent ranking. I think that's okay for him. I think number 11 is fine.
I think Shaq is like top 5 in scoring. If he was just a 70% free throw shooter, he's all-time greatest scorer ever. He won four championships, was the last player, along with Kobe Bryant, to three-peat and win 3 championships with the Los Angeles Lakers and created a dynasty. And, that's never going to be forgotten in the 2000s. I just think, Shaq deserves to be in the top 10 because he was just the most unmovable object in the NBA for such a long time.
Yeah.
And someone in this that I think will be in that list in the next 25 years is someone I'll bring up who's kind of similar like him. So I think he should be higher.
All right, man. So coming up next, I've seen this list. You haven't. We have the top 10 players.
It's Kobe. It's Kobe. Just scroll down and show me Kobe Bryant.
They have Kobe Bryant at number 10. It's Kobe Bryant. I know Kobe is your favorite player of all time. I know you have a lot more emotional attachment to Kobe than I do. Kobe's higher up in my list. He's not number 10 for me. But there's some players in these top 10s that neither of us got to really witness. And I guess
there's no way I'm sorry. There's no way I'm taking Oscar Robertson.
Right. Here's Oscar Robertson at number 9. You saw that.
No, I didn't see that. I'm just saying I'm not taking Oscar. Okay. No, I'm not taking Oscar Robertson over Kobe Bryant. There's just no damn way.
I'm not either. No, I'm not either.
I know he's Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double, and that was the most significant part other than winning in Milwaukee. I know he didn't get to be part of a great team like Kobe did in Cincinnati when he was part of those Royals teams and made it to the finals maybe one time with them. But Kobe Bryant, the way that Allen Iverson was so high on the list because of the cultural impact he had is another reason why Kobe Bryant is way too damn low on this list. Because all time, Kobe unfortunately died a martyr in a basketball culture. Mm-hmm. And the way Mamba mentality resonates with anybody out there, it just hits different. Like Michael Jordan's like an icon, a status symbol, whereas like Kobe Bryant brought hope to people, and like and that's what I'm talking about. It's just the way he impacted the culture of basketball as the player he was,
Yeah.
and I just think it's just too low. And Oscar
Well,
Robinson, I know he's a great all-time great and paved the way for other greats like Kobe to come, but you know, Kobe is just way like we have these discussions about him being the greatest, and Shaq himself said it. You have to put LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe in that list just because of the impact they had on basketball.
yeah.
I just think it's just
Let's see. Let's
undoubtedly
see who
so.
you would switch. Obviously, we take him over Oscar. Here's what I was
Tim
talking about.
Duncan.
Tim
Tim Duncan.
Duncan's at
Okay,
number
so
8.
listen. I don't like. I have my reasons as to why I take Kobe, but I mean, you can argue Tim Duncan was just as impactful as Kobe was and made an enough impact on a franchise the way Kobe did.
I
They both
mean,
ended up with 5. The only difference is that Tim Duncan continued a path of success,
yeah.
throughout his career. Like
I mean,
there
this
was
was
at one point
crazy. Is how
he never missed the playoffs.
in his 18-year career, they
Never missed the
always had a
playoffs.
winning record and they never missed the playoffs. That's
Yes,
crazy.
I know that. I
Yeah.
was gonna mention that, but that's the crazy thing about Tim Duncan is that I I can't necessarily argue. Like I can argue for Kobe, but like if somebody brought out the reason why Tim Duncan was, I mean, I can't disagree with it.
Yeah.
So like I don't like I got a personal emotional attachment to Kobe, so I have him higher on the list.
Yeah. Sure.
But I can't argue that if
This,
somebody decides to say Tim Duncan was a better player than Kobe Bryant was, because overall he won more than Kobe Bryant. And
well,
that's what Kobe was about at the end of the day.
this is crazy too. And he's has the second most wins of all time, only
Yeah.
under Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan, yeah. I mean,
He was a winner, man. He was a
he's
winner.
he's top 10.
Yeah.
Larry Bird, number 7, obviously.
Yeah. Bill
Number
Russell.
6, Bill Russell.
I mean, 22 rebounds a game is ridiculous. But when everyone's a lot shorter than you and there's only 8 teams, the depth of talent that is in like versus like the 80s to the 60s is like insurmountable. Like,
Sure.
and then as you go higher on, even to today, like the NBA has never been this talented. So I get it. Like Russell's there for the impact he made on basketball and stuff,
Right.
but
And 11
winning
NBA championships.
winning 11 world championships,
Yeah.
of course, you don't forget that.
Yeah.
But there was only 8 teams to
Right.
play for a championship, and the other guy he had to play with was Bill Russell, or not Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and that's the next guy on the list because I saw it right now.
Yep.
But these guys were definitely some players ahead of their time, and especially Wilt. I think you can argue, any era that you threw him in, he was gonna excel because you look at like his other accomplishments in outside of basketball. He was playing professional volleyball, beach volleyball at 54, and was breaking like Olympic records and stuff like that. So he was a freak of nature. Will Chamberlain definitely deserves to be as high as he is right here, because any era you throw him in, he was just going to be a whole different kind of athlete. Just imagine if Anthony Davis had like more speed and energy to him. Like he would be crazy on the court. Like no one would be able to compete with him.
He's at
I just think
5. He could be higher. It's going to be tough for anybody to ever break the 100 points in a game record.
But, and then this is also again considering like what their margin of talent was.
Right.
They were clearly there was like maybe 5 or 10 guys that you would like talk about, like Wilt, him, Wilt and Bill, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. Those were the guys you probably talk about. Even like Oscar Robinson coming into it, Magic Johnson, no argument. This whole end of the list, you're not gonna get an argument from me. I just think Kobe deserves to be in this list,
Yeah.
considering if a lot of these guys consider Kobe the greater Laker, like, why is he not like as high as number 3 or 4? Like, you ask Magic Johnson who's the best Laker of all time, and he'd probably tell you Kobe Bryant. You ask Shaquille O'Neal the same thing. I mean, I just think, I mean, this is a crazy list, dude, but right here, it's just undisputed. These guys are all-time greats. Magic Johnson is,
It's tough to move these players around.
yeah.
At
Like,
number
I think
4, Magic.
I personally agree with Shaq. You have to have the conversation with LeBron at 2 and Jordan at 1, but Kobe has to be there at 3. His impact for the Los Angeles Lakers, like his 2016 uh finale, is probably one of the most memorable Laker games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And like none of these guys had that kind of retirement. What Kobe stood for the Lakers is exactly what these guys did, but these guys needed each other. This guy did it with Shaq one time and then did it with Pau Gasol the other. And Pau Gasol is not in the ranks of a Magic Johnson or a Shaquille O'Neal or a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant is though, you know? So it
Kareem,
kind of shows, yeah, Kareem.
Kareem at 3. Kareem, if you put Kobe at 3, then you're forgetting Kareem, and then you're
I'm
forgetting,
not. I'm not.
and
I
it's
just,
like it's so tough, dude. And then you're forgetting Wilt. It's like it's so hard once you get
but
to
the
this
thing is
top.
though, Kobe is just like he won 5 championships like these guys.
Yeah.
Well, Kareem won 6, but Kobe was just as important for the Lakers as much as any of these guys were. And the only exception is out of the 5 rings, each of these individuals between Kobe, Kareem, and Magic and Kareem stayed with each other for all 5. Kobe needed Shaq for 3 of them. He needed Pau for 2. And Pau Gasol is not the player of this likes. He's probably not even in the top 50. But I think there's an argument for him being in the top 75.
Pau could be 75, yeah.
Because
And
he won 2 championships with Kobe Bryant.
yeah.
And was
He was
the
a vital
second
part
piece
of
to
those
that guy.
teams.
Yeah. So there's no
Um,
doubt. But like Pau Gasol is not a top 10 player. Not even in Spain, you go and say Pau Gasol's top 10. They'd probably slap you and look at you differently over there. So I'm just saying.
This comes down now to, obviously everybody has the GOAT debate, greatest of all time. Right here is going to be number 2, and then that leaves obviously the obvious
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan.
So number 2, ESPN, according to ESPN, number 2 is LeBron James.
Wow, I was shocked.
So yeah, that means they left room for Michael Jordan at number 1, and Michael Jordan is still considered the greatest of all time, even with what LeBron has done. And I agree with that. I don't think LeBron is the best player of all time. I'm going to stick with Michael Jordan. And
I might have to disagree.
I would probably even I could maybe even put a couple of these guys above LeBron as well, that are here like in the top couple. Just personal opinion. I'm not disregarding what LeBron has done or his skill, but I think Michael Jordan's still a better player, and that's my list. There's definitely players I think should switch around. Kobe should be higher. I think Michael's still 1. I think Kobe should be higher. That's probably my main gripe with this ESPN list. I think Kobe should be definitely higher, which then allows probably Shaq to come a little bit higher, which then allows I don't know. I think, like I said earlier, I think Tony Parker should be on the list. I think Pau Gasol could be on the list.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's some people, but it's only 75. There's only 75, and that's only so many people that you can have on one list. And looking forward in 25 years, I'm assuming they're going to do an NBA 100 list. And I also wanted here at the end to kind of preview that and see if maybe this will change in 25 years. Will Michael Jordan be dethroned? Will he not be on the number one on your personal list? And, what do you think for ESPN's list or whoever makes the list by then? Do you think Michael Jordan will be dethroned? Do you think that any of the players, because what's interesting is the players that have been retired, they almost can't get higher, right? They only go lower at this point.
Yeah.
They can't necessarily get any higher than what they are on this list. You can't really make, once you've settled that Kareem is 3 and Jordan's 1, Kareem can't all of a sudden be 1 or 2 in the NBA 100 list, because now you have 25 more players. So
I don't think anyone's going to surpass him. I think depending on where Giannis's trajectory is, it's going to be really tough to get into that top 10, let alone a top 5 discussion. But, Giannis is still really young. Giannis is still really young, though, and still not even in the peak of his prime. And if he just gets like a jumper, he's already dangerous as it is. So he's scary to think about, but he's someone that I can see, like, maybe not dethroning Jordan, but in the doorsteps of talking with, hey, man, I did what LeBron could do in like a certain amount of time. Yeah. So where's my discussion for all-time great in Milwaukee too?
And so, yeah, I think Giannis could definitely move higher when it's all said and done. James Harden could. Steph Curry could. James Harden probably could. Chris Paul, if, like we talked about, Chris Paul, if he wins the ring. Other than that, we're at
maybe
Russell
Steph
Westbrook.
Curry.
Russell Westbrook could maybe come higher too. Russell was way up there, man. He was.
Yeah, I think that's deservingly so, just because the way his career is ending.
Yeah.
And the way he's moved into multiple cities, and he meant a lot to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that time had its shelf life, and unfortunately, they traded all 3 of those top 75 players before they had a chance to like really show everybody what they had together.
Yeah,
that was just like that one time in the finals they showed everybody a little taste of what they had coming in store, and Oklahoma was too cheap to say, yeah, let's run it back.
Yeah,
they gave up on Harden.
And then lastly, I wanted to think about current players playing right now. Once there is a NBA 100 list, obviously some of the people on this list that are higher up will come off the list that are older players, and they will be replaced by current players. I wanted to maybe each of us give like 5 players that we think that are playing in the league currently that might make it. I've thought about a few of them.
Easy.
You want to go ahead first? Go ahead.
Dwight Howard, Klay Thompson, Joel Embiid. Current players, and that's the only 3 I have right now.
Okay. By the NBA 100 lists, I think that this obviously depends on, injuries, depends on obviously all of that. But Joel Embiid, I think Jokic has a real shot. I think Luka Doncic has a real shot. I think I'll put Klay there, but I want younger guys. I want like young guys. I think Klay will make that list, but I'm thinking about like the young generation coming up. Klay will probably be on that list, but I'll still give 2 more. I think should everything pan out and he wins a couple of rings, I don't know about 100, but maybe 1 something. I think Ja Morant could make that list.
Nah, I think he makes it. I think you're right about that
list. I think he could make that list. And another player, I mean, yeah, Klay Thompson is the easy one, man. Klay Thompson probably could have been on this list easily, the 75 list. No doubt. So yeah, the 100 list, Clay will be on it for sure. But yeah, I think Embiid, Jokic, Jokic, Doncic, and Clay and John Morant. I think John Morant has a shot. Um, that's my five, honestly, for going into the next
Well,
list. That will show up on the NBA 100.
well, if we're just talking about active players, there's a few of them in there, and like you said, Joel Embiid, John Morant. I'm a little still skeptical about Luka. I want to see what he does in the playoffs. I think he's a triple double machine, but that's about it. He has a lot of possession in that game, and he still has to prove himself in the playoffs. You'll probably have man, I don't know. Maybe Jimmy Butler's in that list too. He's been a great player to watch.
Yeah, maybe. I
Mm,
mean, if you put Jimmy Butler, I think you got to put Paul George.
I mean, you could because Paul George has been a great player throughout his career,
Yeah, I mean,
and he
I'd
still
say
has the
Paul George
potential
is
to
a
win
better.
one.
I'd say Paul George is a better player than Jimmy Butler, in my opinion,
I
just
think
career wise.
I I think they're in two different scenarios, but they both have opportunities to win.
Yeah,
You look at Devin Booker, he has the opportunity to make that list.
yeah, Booker really could.
Jason Tatum, he has a potential shot at that list too. Um, there's a lot of young guys that stand out right now in this league, but you for sure got to put Dwight in there. You got to put Clay in there. You got to put who else? I think you got to put Embiid. I think Embiid's coming up on the rise right now.
Embiid will be in there. Yeah,
And you got to put in Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, I think he's one of those players that you could debate what should have been in that list too. Um,
Kyrie will be on there. Yep.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players in that, and right now in this league that's gonna
Do you
make
not
an
agree with me
argument.
on Jokic?
Jokic, you got to agree with that one. That
You
one's
don't agree
true.
with me on Doncic.
Because I think Doncic hasn't had the success yet, and
But
that's the difference.
Embiid and Jokic haven't won any rings. They haven't.
They both made it to conference finals though. Doncic has yet to come out the first round.
That's
And who's
fair.
to say he's coming out in the first round this year?
I never said that, but that's a fair.
I'm just saying he's not going to make it out of the first round this year. He might lose in this first round. So,
I
and
think they'll make
Jokic
it out
might.
this year. If the playoffs were happening right now, they would take on the Jazz. I think they can beat the Jazz in a 7-game series.
No, they can't.
I think
They
they can.
can't. I promise you they wouldn't though.
I think they can.
Man, I can't wait to talk playoffs. That's going to be a lot of fun, dude, because I
Playoffs
promise
will be
you.
fun, yeah, and we'll be back, guys. This is something that we want to do. This is our new show, Lando and Ces, Season Lando. My name's Landon. That's Caesar. This was fun, man. Going over the top 75 list. ESPN ranked them. We talked about it, and obviously a polarizing discussion. Anytime you talk about ranking players, we're going to definitely be talking about more basketball as here we are at the halfway mark and playoffs are soon to come.
So, who do you got right now in the West? Like, who's a team you want to watch right now? For me, right now, I want to watch the Grizzlies and see how they finish the second half.
We'll see how the Grizzlies finish the second half. Yeah,
I think they're the team to watch.
The three to watch, in my opinion, that are like, let's see what happens, is the Grizzlies, the Jazz, and the Mavericks. Those are the three that let's see what happens. Obviously, the Lakers were like, whoa, what's gonna happen? The Clippers are like, okay, maybe, that what's gonna happen there too. Lakers and Clippers are kind of in the same boat. I think Grizzlies.
I think the Clippers right now have a better future than us.
They probably do. But the locks in the Western Conference Finals for me this year is Warriors and Suns. I think it's Warriors and Suns. I think the Suns beat the Warriors in a 7-game series. I think the Suns are going to go to the NBA Finals this year, and I think they might win. That's my middle of the season pick right now, are the Phoenix Suns.
The Suns?
Man. I think I'm going with the Suns. I think they'll beat either the honestly, in the East, I think it'll either be the Bucks or the Bulls that make it to the finals. For me, it's either of those teams. I know the Heat is at the top right now, but I think the Bucks or the Bulls are just too tough in a 7-game series
I
compared
know.
to. But I mean, then you can't count out the 76ers, especially with the
Yeah,
new acquisition of Harden now. We're going to see how that happens. Harden and Embiid, if they mesh well together.
I got them.
So yeah, I think it's Suns versus Bucks or Bulls. That's my pick, and I think the Suns win. So
All right. So
that's
the
my
next one,
middle of the
Landon.
season. That's my middle of the season prediction, subject to change based on what happens for the rest of the year. But yeah, so awesome, man. Thanks for doing it. We're gonna do a lot
Yeah.
more. Thank you for anybody that tuned in and watched. We'll be doing more. We'll be doing long form content like this, short form as well, or try to condense some talks down as well to make them, more condensed and just information packed. And then we'll have these long discussions as well. It's going to be about sports, culture, Los Angeles, where we both reside, and just a bunch of things. We're just going to
Just
talk, man.
things.
It's going to be fun. So appreciate you for talking and appreciate everybody for watching. It was fun. And yeah, let us know if you guys
Thanks for
have
watching.
if you guys have any comments or anything like that, feedback, or just want to talk about the NBA 75 list, go ahead and do it. If you guys have predictions for the NBA 100 list or anything, put them down below. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, C's.
All right, man. Later, Landon.